I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy, here with Misha Pollan and Americans comedian Kurt Metzger. This was the big news in the media business of late. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News, and now we're getting some leaks from Fox News about why they did it, because in their statement firing Tucker Carlson, they didn't say what caused his firing. And Tucker hasn't said anything either, really, about it.
This alarmed Fox leader. Here's what's hilarious, because this is basically an article about how white men fight.
Yeah, yeah,
like they fire you and leak your texts.
Yeah. So now Fox News is coming out with reasons for firing Tucker, and they're pretty strange. So this is the latest. Tucker Carlson text about how white men fight alarmed Fox leaders before his ouster.
It sounds to me like denigrate. Just now, not knowing the exact words.
Yeah.
That sounds like you make it like, oh, that's how white guys fight. Like, it sounds like a denigrating thing at white men.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
It comes off as. So.
I know. And also, and look, even, I mean, like, we'll get to it, but basically, even if what he's saying in this text is somewhat bigoted, it's not like.
It doesn't even rank. I don't even understand how. Everything's so corporatized now.
Yeah.
So people that work in that environment are so like their brains get sanded smooth, and the things that like they bring their corporate what's okay into their, that's what social media and all can't say. So that's to be shocking if you worked in the context of a company during, like, it's not to any normal person. You're like, what?
Yeah. And a text exchange can come in all sorts of different contexts. And we don't know exactly what the context that he was writing this one in. But the point is, if a text message alarmed Fox leaders, it's weird because on his show, Tucker Carlson said, I think over the years, some really biased things. He talked about immigrants making the country dirtier and poorer. That didn't alarm them. They loved it when he said something like that.
He kept his job.
Yeah, he kept his job. But now all of a sudden they want us to think that some text messages about how white men fight alarm them. So here's a story. A text message sent by former Fox News host Tucker Carlson about a video he saw of the violence that broke out during the January 6th attack on the Capitol alarmed the network's leaders just days before he was ousted from the cable news giant, according to a new report in the New York Times. In the message sent to one of the top-rated host's producers, Carlson wrote he was watching video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him, according to the New York Times. And here's the message. And here it is. I'll read the whole thing. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching video of people fighting on the street in the street of Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1, at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight.
Oh, so it was like a white gentleman.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, wow! I assumed that. I'm so used to hearing, like, what do you sound like a white guy?
Yeah. Well, yeah, this does show some bias that, like, a white man is supposed to fight honorably as opposed to people of other ethnicities. So, it's maybe fair to say that he was coming from a place of bias here. Fair enough. But yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. Much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it. I should remember that somewhere somebody probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is?
And that's what alarmed Fox.
And who knows?
Not the white part. That's the part they're like, okay, so far so good. The part at the bottom.
And you never know, like, the context in which he said. Maybe he is saying that place from a place of deep bias, which would be in line with the stuff he said on his show, which has included, I think, some bigoted statements. Or maybe it's in some sort of ironic context. Like you never know. But the point is, he said, I think, worse things on his show, and that never got him fired. So the idea that this got him fired, I just find very strange, and it's a part of this public PR effort.
It didn't get him fired.
Yeah, well, that's what they're trying to claim. And so here's more from The Hill, just recapping the Times story.
Fox trying to sell that as if that's what alarmed them.
Yeah.
The white men fight thing, like through Media Matters, by the way.
Well, yes, we're going to get to that. So in its report, the Times said it learned the contents of Tucker Carlson's message in court filings made by Dominion Voting Systems as part of the company's defamation lawsuit against Fox, which recently was settled. Carlson's text about the video he saw reportedly set off a panic among Fox's board and top levels of executive leadership, with officials worrying the contents of those messages could become public and prove embarrassing for the network.
He's on his own time. It's none of your goddamn business, frankly.
Yeah, and also he said similar stuff, if not worse stuff, on the air.
Dude, that message, I didn't realize that was a text, but like that's a good point he made.
At the end, yeah.
Who gives a shit that he said that other part?
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit?
The part at the end actually is a good point where he says that, I'm actually don't want to lose my humanity.
It's the important part of the whole thing.
Beat up. Yeah.
Not that this is not, which by the way, I'm sure everyone at Fox News, I promise you, has said something actually really racist.
Of course.
Way worse than that in their private text.
Absolutely. Of course. And here's this. The Times report comes a day after footage of the host making crude and sexual comments about women on the set of his popular show was leaked to liberal media watchdog Media Matters. So this is how crazy this has gotten, that leaked videos of Tucker Carlson have gone to Media Matters.
From Fox.
From Fox, which is like Media Matters, all they do all day is post clips of Fox to make Fox look as bad as possible. And now Fox looks like they're working with Media Matters to denigrate
all these
Tucker
companies
Carlson.
They don't get that it's like, it's a big ship. It takes a long time to steer. So the thing that Tucker figured out that he always talks about, they're so out of touch. They have no idea this is not the people know about this.
Sure.
They have no clue.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's Justin Hart. Hilarious. This is actually really authentically funny stuff. Media Matters put out a series of clips on Tucker thinking America would loathe and hate him. Instead, he came across like a delightfully funny and humorous coworker.
That's if we're going to talk about sex, I'd love to hit some of the fine points of technique.
My God, I didn't know he said that.
But it's your show. It's totally up to you.
We can certainly talk about your sexual technique, especially after your tanning testicles last week.
Not mine. We'll speak in more general terms, but I've got something to add.
Did he harass Piers Morgan? I am disturbed a little bit.
That's going to be the next headline. Tucker Carlson harassed Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan's like, I froze at first. I didn't know what to do. I laughed because I was afraid.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best they've got. Is like, that's a pretty benign video. I mean, you can say it's not funny, but who cares? It's a behind the scenes moment, and that's them having a like. How is that?
This is not how white men fight.
Here's more. Here's another one where he's talking about his show on Fox Nation, the Fox streaming service.
I don't want to be a slave to Fox Nation, which I don't think that many people watch anyway. We're gonna because I'm like a representative of the American media now. Speaking to an exile in Romania and welcoming him back into the Brotherhood of Journalists.
Yeah, it would help us out if you wore a sweater though, because we asked him not to wear a suit. Like, he was panicking about it. So you don't have to. Tucker's gonna be looking casual. That's just how our show looks. Is that okay?
I mean, this is airing on the nighttime show, and I want it to look official. I don't want it to be like bro talk. And I, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the majority of it, like if we go like 45 minutes, it's going to be for Fox Nation.
But nobody's going to watch it on Fox Nation. Nobody watches Fox Nation because the site sucks. So I'd really like to just dump the whole thing on YouTube. But anyway, that's just my view. I'm just frustrated with it's hard to use that site. I don't know why they're not fixing it. It's driving me insane. And they're like making like Lifetime movies, but they don't work on the infrastructure of the site. Like, what? It's crazy. And it drives me crazy because it's like we're doing all this extra work and no one can find it. It's unbelievable, actually. I don't know who runs that site.
We're going to play a sizable chunk on the show tomorrow night. That's the plan. And then what it's going to do is drive a lot of people to watch this on Fox Nation. It's going to be a great help to what we're doing over there on TV today.
I know, but we're doing our part. We're like working like animals to produce all this content, and the people in charge of it, whoever that guy's, whatever his name is, like they're ignoring the fact that the site doesn't work. And I think it's like a betrayal of our efforts. That's how I feel. So of course I resent it.
So Media Matters put that out as if it's supposed to be embarrassing for him.
Each one makes less sense than the last one.
Here's Michael Tracy. Fox News going to war against Tucker by leaking ridiculous nonsense to Media Matters is almost too insanely ironic for words. It is really funny.
Didn't they do that with O'Reilly? Remember O'Reilly, the leaks of him?
Yeah. Well, those were funny. Those were funny.
Yeah, those are like,
yeah.
Like things are like, oh wow, he
the one
really
on
is an
the one
asshole.
when he was hosting a current affair and he freaks out because the teleprompter's not working.
Tucker seems like one of the best people to work for in all of that business compared to the rest of them. Gutfeld, I'm sure is cool, but the O'Reilly ones are like, no.
Oh
I still remember that.
Yeah. He was
These are like, why are you bothering me with this?
Yeah, exactly. Here's Glenn Greenwald. There's obviously a decision by Fox to wage a massive war on Tucker Carlson's character, partnering with both the New York Times and Media Matters to do it. And it's extremely odd for many reasons, beginning with the fact that he hasn't uttered a negative word about them. It is strange. You know, these New York Times stories about Tucker, like in his text messages, the first story that came out actually didn't contain a single thing from those supposedly damning text messages. The most recent one did, about that white man fight line. But it's funny, on top of going to the New York Times, which is supposed to be the adversary of Fox News, these Times stories have like 6 reporters on them. It's like 6. It's like a team of reporters on these completely or like relatively benign stories about Tucker Carlson's text messages. Yet 6 people are working on them. It's a lot of effort for not much in the way of actual scoops.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just to go to Media Matters, like, who did Rupert think he should do that? That's like a real oldie McOlderson idea that we're gonna get. Remember that creep that did all the Anita Hill smears?
Yeah.
He found
David
it.
Brock. Yeah.
I mean, it's founded by the biggest piece of shit who's ever lived.
That's right, David Brock. Yep. And here's more from Glenn. Since Tucker's show was taken off of the air, there has been what could reasonably be called a collapse in ratings, especially among young viewers on Fox's other shows. I don't know if this is a strategy to win back viewers or what, but it seems odd. And Anya Parmpil says, feels like a desperate campaign to muddy waters surrounding Tucker's departure. It's because he made jokes on camera, because a producer he never met is suing him, because he swore in private texts, or whatever they come up with next. Could it be that all these forces converge to undermine him because he was the only U.S. host to oppose war and uniparty politics? Would Fox execs really undermine the network's future and bottom line just because they thought Tucker was a big meanie?
He's not mean. In the clips, he's not mean at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way that coming across a text message like that would force them to oust their top-rated cable host. It does not make any sense.
Can you imagine video of like Ellen DeGeneres coming out, being made public? Her in-betweens or like whoever.
Yeah.
He looks like one of the most... James Corden.
Oh, yeah.
Like, compare Tucker to him. Tucker's a prince compared to that.
Yeah. He had James Corden had a freak out at a restaurant not too long ago.
Dude, that guy...
Yeah.
I heard a million stories about James Corden.
Right.
From it, British... they all know each other in England. All the actors, they all know each other. It's that small. They all got a story about him, dude.
Well, and again, this was recently reported, and we've covered this on the Jimmy Dore show, the Murdochs Ukraine connection, that just weeks before the Murdochs fired Tucker Carlson, they spoke to Zelensky. And the story in Semaphore also revealed that senior Ukrainian officials had complained to Fox executives about Tucker Carlson's coverage of the Ukraine proxy war because, as Anya pointed out, he was the only cable news host, the only one to feature anti-war voices and to forcefully criticize the Ukraine proxy war. Everybody else is pretty much on board.
Oh, wait. Do you think, they lost all the young viewership, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that in the demented oldie minds, because none of them know what woke is and all that, but they know young people are into it. So they're like, Media Matters knows this crap these kids are into, like, find the things that'll damage them with the young kids. I don't know how that helps Fox get them back, but that seems like a thing to hurt. I mean, I don't know anybody my age, unless they're insane, who could honestly look at that and think that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I could see, like, some blue hair somewhere, like they're imagining it's for them. Like, see what he said? White men don't fight like this. What do you? I don't even understand.
It makes sense. It makes sense that this is a total PR strategy. And what they probably did was they went looking through all his texts, all the ones they got, and they picked out the ones that could be portrayed as the most damning. And then they pretended as if this was the reason why he was fired.
He's right. White men fight by hiring Media Matters to find lame clips and make shit up. That's how a white man handles it. He said, well, he wasn't even wrong.
We're telling jokes in Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Chicago, Rosemont, San Diego, and more. Go to jimmydore.com to get a link for all those tickets. Plus, you can watch my new special, COVID Lies Are Funny.